we could do better. And I'm going to show you in the next hour and 15 minutes how to do that with Project Online and existing tools that you may already have. So again, my name is Dux, and very, very honored to be here. I'm the Vice President for Customer Strategy and Solutions with AvePoint. With AvePoint, we help organizations like yours to collaborate with confidence across your technology investments, specifically in the Microsoft technology stack. Very privileged to be a SharePoint MVP and also PMP. And I also wrote the book SharePoint for Project Management. You guys read this book? No? Tell you what, I'll give everybody a copy. You want that?
Yeah.
All right. So what I ask of you is to get the copy. In fact, to get everything I'm going to show you today. So I record all my presentations on video. You get a video recording, you get PowerPoint, you get everything I show you, and a free copy of the book. Just stop by our booth, and you get scanned, and we'll send you all this stuff, right? And the code you get, you'll be able to use that code to like on Amazon or something, and put that in to get a free download of the ebook. Does that work?
That's awesome.
My son will be disappointed because he makes 80 cents royalty a copy for his college fund, but no more. So, let's get the conversation going here, friends. So, what I want to do today, really focus on these three key areas. Number one, before we even jump into Project Online, talk to you about what are the typical project management scenarios that we deal with day in, day out. I'm sure as you may have observed, how project management and project collaboration is being done today is so different than before. Whereas before, being a project manager is a formal title. You go to school for that. In fact, a lot of people still do. However, project management is not just limited to those people that are certified anymore. All of us work on projects, yes? We like it or not. I call these group the reluctant project managers. How about folks in accounting, or marketing, or sales? So what are the different scenarios, and more importantly, what are the different challenges these types of groups face? Second is I'll talk to you about how Project Online and related technologies will be able to meet your project management needs. So when we talk about Project Online, it's really an umbrella term for a bunch of technologies. It's just like Office, right? Office is not one product. You got Word, PowerPoint, Excel. Same with Project Online. So I'll step you through what these different technologies are, what the value propositions are, and more importantly, and this is the big thing, how it works with existing tools people use. You see, one thing people always think about when they think project management, oh, you got to use Microsoft Project. That's Microsoft Project Management tool. Yeah, but there's a whole lot of other stuff you can use. In my mind, it has to be appropriate for the right person at the right time. Anybody use Microsoft Project? What was your first recollection of Microsoft Project?
Awkward.
What's that?
Kind of awkward.
Awkward, right? For me, it was like that bad first date that I had. Because my background is I was an engineer, and the first time I remember in the mid-90s, my boss told me, hey, Doc, use Microsoft Project. Yeah, whatever. I got a degree in BE, and I know Word, I know Excel Project. Ha! How bad could that be? I was staring at that thing for 3 hours. I didn't know what to do with it, right? So it's not for the faint of heart, because it assumes you know project management fundamentals, which a lot of people don't. So that's not a tool for everyone. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about, once we look at these technologies, we'll talk about how you approach on potentially rolling this out in your organization. What are some of the tips and tricks and strategies, what works, what doesn't? I'll share with you some examples of customers that's taking advantage of this, but also what not to do. While Project Online is great, again, it's not for everyone. So we'll certainly look at that as well. All right, you guys ready? Okay, so let's talk about what's going on today. This is a typical picture of what project management looks like in any organization. All right, first and foremost, project management maturity varies. In a lot of large organizations, maybe in your IT organization, most likely you have what's called a PMO. Anybody have PMO? Project Management Office, right? So this group would set standards and how projects are run. Most likely these people would have certifications. Great. They might use some special tool, right? Or more complex tool like Project Server or maybe Primavera. Anybody use Primavera? You heard of Primavera? It's cool. But then the larger chunk of the organization say your folks in sales or marketing and whatnot, project management is not their day job. They just have to work on projects. Maybe they have to work with vendors. But the problem is, complex tools are too much for them, right? And then the problem is, SharePoint is not accessible externally. So what do? I'm just going to use Dropbox. I'll use Basecamp. I'll use Google Apps, because I need to get this work done. And that's fine, but it poses a lot of problems. Number one, again, security. Number two, from an organizational standpoint, let's say the big boss wants a visibility of every initiative we're doing in this company, everything. How is that done? You're scrambling around with a bunch of emails, Excel files, putting together a PowerPoint where the data is already a month old. Yes? Another big issue organizations face today, especially in this day and age of doing more with less, what's everybody working on? Can I take in more requests from the business? I have 50 developers working on new releases or new requests. How do I prioritize what to take on or not take on? Y'all with me? You have your Tuesday morning resource capacity meeting. You're like playing Tetris on your Excel spreadsheet because you just don't know. You know you need more people for the next fiscal year. You're putting together a budget for an open headcount, but you can't prove it. Do you feel the love? That's what we deal with, yes? Now, the problem is project management is becoming more complex. Today, if you look at project management, it falls into three buckets. The first bucket is what I would call ad hoc project collaboration. It's not even project management. This is what we engage in mostly. So think about this. Your folks in, again, the business, your sales, your marketing folks, your account managers, Docs, we want to do this marketing campaign and we need to hire vendors, whatever, so we need some collaborative work done. Maybe there's some action items, but that's about it. Some documents. And we use email today. Wish it could be better. Right? One scenario, but this is the most common scenario people engage in the business. The second scenario is what I would call semi-formal or a little more mature type of project management where there are some methodologies that are followed. So for example, I work and live in DC, and as a company, we respond to a bunch of government proposals. And if the proposal is sizable, we have to follow a specific methodology or process to respond to those. So there are fixed templates that we use. Everybody follow me? There are certain verbiage that we have to use. There are certain credentials or certifications we have to subscribe to. So we have to follow that. So how are we doing that? Are these things captured so the next time around we can do it over? Again, templatizing, right? Or am I just relying on email or looking at past attachments and reusing those? And then the third bucket is what I would call a more formal project management process and maturity where not only are we being strict around how we run a project, but organizationally, we want to have visibility into who's working on what. What are the projects are we engaged in this quarter? How does Q1 of 2014 compare to Q1 of 2013 in terms of project delivery? Can we measure priority based on all these demands that's coming in? Yes? So that's looking at more of an organizational, big picture type of perspective. But keep in mind, regardless of what type of projects we're engaged in today, at the end of the day, we just want to hit that goal. Right? And then the problem today that we face, why email is still the number one project management tool, because that's the lowest common denominator. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it gets the job done to some extent. Because the problem today is either we have very complex tools that takes care of this, like Project Server. Anybody use Project Server or have Project? But then Project Server or Project, I love Project Server, don't get me wrong, but in my mind it's still too much for everybody else. What if there's some way, somehow, some tool that can address everybody's needs, right? And that's where Microsoft comes in. Microsoft has an offering today called Project Online. It's part of the Office 365 suite of products. And later on, I'll talk more about pricing and all that good stuff. And it's cloud-based, and the beauty with Project Online, just like Office 365, literally, you swipe your credit card, it's up and running. I love it. Now, in my past life, I've done a lot of project server deployments. Anybody involved in project server deployment? What's that fun? Not only, and I'm being sarcastic here, not only it requires SharePoint Server Enterprise, it requires you to install Project Server on top of it, but it also requires resources that really know what they're doing, such as they'll combine the farms between Project Server and SharePoint. Right? And then how do you take care of that stuff? So with Project Online, it's essentially Project Server in the cloud. That's what it is. And by the way, if you have Project Server and Project Online still not an option, everything I'm going to talk to you about today still applies to on-prem as well. But the value proposition is literally, you swipe your credit card, boom, it's up and running. Project Online works around all the existing technologies people already know, Office, SharePoint, delivered via Office 365, which is scalable, and it's built for the cloud. And what I love about this platform is it addresses the 3 types of project management scenarios I talked about. The first scenario that I talked about is the whole idea of ad hoc, where people need to just get stuff done. Really, they're working on action items and tasks and documents. SharePoint can handle that. You see, Project Online, as I described earlier, is a suite of products. It comes with SharePoint Online. Y'all with me? Forgive my heavy southern accent, y'all. I'm from the deep south, Manila, Philippines, that is. Southeast Asia, same thing. So yeah, SharePoint Online can handle that. I'll show you a lot of demos of this in a second. The next type of project management scenario I described is something a little more formal. There's processes, there's templates, and this is where Project Professional can come in to help you with better and advanced scheduling. What Project Professional is, it's the desktop Microsoft project that we all know. So when you subscribe to Project Online, part of what you get is downloading Project Professional on your desktop so full-blown project managers can use it. Y'all follow me? I mean, you can still buy it at the store, but I don't know if you're familiar with this. Microsoft Project Professional, if you buy it, it's like $1,000 a copy. Part of your Project Online subscription, you get it, and all the updates you get it. And then lastly, at the highest level, let's say you're looking at more organizational, formal program and project management. That's and later on you'll see it, it's called PWA. That's like the highest level of functionality that Project Online provides. So Microsoft understands the different needs of different people in the organization, and it could support all that. Right? The philosophy is not only does it support different needs and different people, different types of project management? With Microsoft Device and Services Vision, it works on anything and everything. I mean, as you've seen, I use a Mac. I love my Mac, right? I'm going to show a lot of demos on my Mac. So that works just fine. You know, the whole battle with, we're a Mac shop, or our users use iPads and Androids, that's not even a conversation piece. And then lastly, because of its vast ecosystem, which I'll show you in a second, beyond what Project Online provides, through the App Store, a lot of partners are building stuff on top of it. And later on, I'll show this to you as well. For example, one of the biggest concerns with the cloud is ducks. The problem with the cloud is we can't track who accessed what when. I mean, that's the beauty of on-prem, right? If somebody logs in, we can run an audit log and see who touched this thing in case we get in trouble. But that's not an excuse, because we could do that today with partner solutions. Later on, I'll show you something. So a lot of great value, and from a pricing perspective, it's 2 sets of pricing. So Project Online, for all the stuff I described to you, it's $33 per user per month, or I'm sorry, with an annual subscription, but it's $45 per user per month. Now, to some of you, you're like, well, that looks expensive. But if you've already deployed Project Server before, in the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. Yeah? And for what you get here is really you get SharePoint Online, you get Project Pro, and you get the full-blown Project Online functionality. Now, I understand that not everyone would need the full-blown functionality. Because in a typical project scenario, yeah, Docs, I'm the project manager, I need all this stuff, but my team, all they need to do is upload documents, update tasks. The executive just need to look at reports. Y'all follow me? So for those type of individuals, they can subscribe to what's called Project Lite. Project Lite is $7 per user per month. It's essentially limited functionality, Project Online. And for you to subscribe to Project Lite, you have to have Project Online subscription. Meaning you can't just get this standalone. Because if you get this standalone, it doesn't really make sense. Might as well just use SharePoint. Now, do you have to have Office 365 today to get Project Online? No. Let's say you don't have Office 365, you have nothing. You can just subscribe straight up to Project Online. Well, what if I have Office 365, Docs? Anybody have Office 365 in your company? Can I still get this? Is there a discount? No discount. You can still get it, but it will integrate with your Office 365 environment. So to the user, it's transparent. Docs, can I combine? Like in-house, we have SharePoint as our intranet, whatever. We're looking into having this in the cloud. Can I do like a hybrid scenario? Absolutely. And I'll show that to you in a second. Okay? So, any questions about pricing? And yes, sir.
What's the annual subscription?
The annual subscription is literally, you're going to pay Microsoft 1 year. So let's say you subscribe. Instead of paying monthly, you just pay them 1 year's worth, and you get that discount. The $45 is your credit card recharge every month.
So if I would say that was the $12 difference, that would be my annual difference, right?
Correct. No, it's more than, it's $12 a month.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Well, 144.
Yeah, so you're saving that per user, yeah. Okay.
So if you do it on monthly, it's $12 more than
Correct. Yeah, it's just some deal. They want to get your cash up front.
And getting the light part of it, what are we missing? What do you said the $7?
I'll talk to you about that in a second. Yeah, I'll talk about what features aren't there. Yeah. So, the goal of Project Online is to make everyone happy. And what I mean by that is, already I described there's different project management needs, there's different maturity, regardless of what kind of projects you're working on, be it an internal, external collaboration, very simple, ad hoc, high-level PPM management. Anybody doing ALM here with TFS, Team Foundation Server? You can certainly integrate that. Reporting, compliance, even line of business integration with Office 365 open APIs through OData, web services, and I'll show you some examples as well. Regardless of what the needs are, Project Online supports, but even better, and this is something people don't think about, is at the client side, it works just fine. You know, I talk to a lot of organizations and they're like, yeah, our business is going to Basecamp or OneDrive, or not one, yeah, maybe OneDrive or Box. But now the problem is they still have to copy the stuff and stick it back internally because it doesn't really talk to internal technologies. Yeah? And I'll show you some of the scenarios in a second. So, how do we fast-track project management success with Project Online? So what I'm going to do in the remainder of the hour, I'll show you a lot of demos, is going to step through 3 steps on how you can fast-track project management success. And these are very important steps as you go through your project management journey. The first step, if you think about project management or project collaboration, it's important you get everyone on the same page right away, right? You know, while some people tell me, yeah, Docs, when I get assigned a project, I fire up Microsoft Project, I start building a schedule. You're lying. It's not true. Because the very first thing when you get assigned a project, what do? Hey, Karen, I want you to work on this. What do you do right away?
I assemble a team.
Okay, so tactically, what do you do? What's the first thing that you do? Email. Hey, Docs, you know, the big boss said I need to work on this. I know you worked on that. Can you send me some visibility? And then I respond, yeah, here are some templates. Let's schedule a meeting. Now let me bring in Joe because he's worked on that too, and that thing just snowballs. Right? You got to get everybody on the same page right away. So with that, what do? Before you even get started with any technology, now I'm putting on my PMP hat. This is very important. The big flaw in a lot of organizations, when they think about project management, they think, oh, we just need a fancy tool, life would be great. How many of you in your organization hate Project Server? Right? Project Server sucks. Or Project sucks. You still have those people in your company? So here's what I want you to do. When you go back and see them on Monday, look them straight in the eye and say, Project Server doesn't suck, you suck. It's a freaking tool. You're a tool, Doc. Oh. So the point being is, before you even think about getting people on the same page, you got to have a game plan. And this is not complicated. Whenever I work with organizations around this, first and foremost, I would say, hey, indulge me. Talk to me on how projects happen here. Well, Docs, sponsor approves it, a PM gets assigned. Okay, what does the PM do? The PM would have to, create a project site, build a schedule, assign resources, yada, yada, yada. But having this, regardless if people agree or not, what are you doing here? Now you're putting together a game plan on how we're going to do projects here. That's number one. Everybody's on the same page. Number two, we've just defined what people need to be trained on. I don't agree as a user that you send me a 4-day Microsoft project class training. It's worthless. But if you tell me, Docs, as a project manager in Acme Company, these are the things you have to do, so these are the things that you have to learn. 2 hours tops. Is that clear? I have this swim lane diagram, and if you guys want, I can send this to you too. You can tweak it a bit. Is this something of interest? Now, once you have your game plan, let's get started. The beauty with Project Online, through SharePoint Online, it allows you to quickly get started on a project. I'm not saying you chuck email. Email's still fine, but as a part of the process, you can say, okay, every time you need to work on a project, go to the internet, create a project site. And the technology that powers people to do that is through SharePoint. So let me show this to you. Again, I'm using a Mac. Get over it. I love my Mac. So let's say this is my intranet. In fact, just to kind of... Okay, so I work for a company called Contoso City. Contoso City. So I went to my intranet as a part of the process. Okay, anytime you need to create a project, go to our intranet, go to Project Center. So in my intranet, there's a link that says Project Center. I clicked on it. Y'all follow me? By the way, all this is Project Online. And it doesn't really matter to the user. You don't even have to tell them it's in the cloud, whatever. Just don't tell them. So now, as a part of the process, I've just been assigned to put together a major presentation at a San Francisco event. And in my mind, this is a project because I need templates, I need people to work with me on this good stuff. So I come here, I go to my project center, I know the first thing I have to do is click this button that says Create or Start a New Project. I'll call this the SP TechCon presentation project because I need a lot of people to help me with it. So I'm going to hit Create. So as soon as I hit Create, what's going to happen is a project site is being provisioned. Again, the technology behind this is SharePoint. And keep in mind, you can also define templates. Later I'll show this to you. So in your world, you can say, maybe we'll have a template for a software development project, a marketing campaign project. Right, y'all with me? So what I have now is just all out of the box, and you won't see anything, or you won't see anything special, I should say. But part of these templates, and again, I'll show this to you later on, is you can already put in documents in there. Everything's prepackaged. So the user can get started quickly. Once I create my project site, the first thing it asks me, well, Docs, start putting in your tasks, right? I go, okay. So I need to review session details. Okay. I need to get this done by, let's see, the 25th. Let me assign it to myself. Beautiful. Okay. And then let me contact my colleague. So notice that as soon as I type that in, the first task shows up on this top section. This is called the timeline view. And this is pretty cool because the timeline view is a little timeline calendar that visually shows me key milestones or deliverables that I want to display not only in the task list, but it also shows up on the home page of this project site. So I put that in, and I'm going to say contact Greg. And see if he has PowerPoint templates, whatever. I'll do this by next second. And anybody still on SharePoint 2007 or 2010? It's okay, no judgments here. What am I doing here? This is the datasheet view on Chrome on my Mac. You hear the angels singing? So I enter all this stuff. This is cool, and now I can certainly also highlight this guy, and I want to display this on the timeline. Add to timeline. I can do that. And let's say I'm going to go to the home page. So now I got my project site. I need to build this presentation. I got my timeline view. Notice I can move this stuff around. It's cool. It says you can tweak your site. All this is good. I'm going to take that out. Now, the other thing is, well, I got a bunch of templates that I use for my projects. So let me go to my computer here. Clicked on family picture. Kind of cool. So now I've got all these. Where are my project templates? Yep, here we go. So notice that I've got all these templates. By the way, if you're not familiar with the Mac, this is called a Finder. It's kind of like Windows Explorer. So I can take all these Word document templates that I use every time for a project, and I'll just upload it, drag and drop. There you go. It's very nice because it's familiar to users. So it's very similar to a lot of web-based tools, right? Not only can I drag and drop and now there, with the SharePoint technology, with a lot of new enhancements, I can highlight a specific document. It's going to preview because Office Online is all built in. I can look at all this stuff. The other benefit is, let's say for this specific document, I want to share it. Not only can I share it internally, let me share it to a vendor I'm working with. The guy's name is Dux and his email address is Gmail. And he can edit this document, share it. All right? So now, as soon as I do that, the beauty of this is, it addresses the challenge that the business deals with. Oh, they can't come into our SharePoint environment or a project server environment. But you don't want them to start using Box or Dropbox, right? So you still have some type of control and visibility into what the users are doing. Now, the other thing is, let's say I want to edit this document. I can hit the document, and Word Online fires up. I can edit this document directly on the browser, kind of like Google Apps. You all learned Google Apps? This is just 10,000 times better. And or they can also edit it directly in Word, and they can do it on a Mac as well. So in case they're using a tablet, they don't have Office installed, they can edit it there. It works for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. Now, the other benefit is it takes advantage of a lot of the social features that's been introduced in the latest rounds of Office technology. So for example, I want to bring in my colleague Sam. I'm going to say, hey Sam, do you have past presentations that I can use or review? Yeah. And I can do that. It's all built in. And again, the value proposition here is people are familiar with this type of communication. Why we use email today for project management? Because we have this one-stop shop, which is our email inbox, that captures all project artifacts and communication. While it's not ideal, it works. But what if you can extend it to something like this, where your users have a one-stop shop for a project task, documents, conversations, yet it still integrates with their email? Because guess what? Any of this stuff I type in, an email alert would be sent and they can respond. You know this document library? I can hook it up to Outlook, it will show up in Outlook. You know all the tasks that's been assigned to people? It will automatically show up in their Outlook tasks. So it's a very natural way of people engaging. This serves as your one-stop shop. Okay? Now, speaking of social as well, I can do things like I can follow this project site. So I just clicked on follow. It's very similar to the concept of following on consumer social tools. But now, beyond following people, you can follow project sites, you can follow documents, and if you're like me, I'm working on 10,000 things. There's no way I can remember every site I'm in, every project I'm involved in, every document I'm editing. Y'all with me? So the beauty with these social capabilities is to get myself on the same page, forget everybody else on the same page. This is the new next generation my site, right? I can go to my newsfeed where all my conversations across different projects are there. All the different documents I'm following is aggregated. So what that means is anytime the document is updated, it will let me know. This was just updated by Joe or whoever. It will also show me all the sites I follow. And then through time, based on all my interactions with the platform, it can even suggest, you may want to look at this too. Because it's very similar, the metadata is very similar to all the other stuff you're interested in. Very powerful. Now, any questions so far? We're good? Karen?
You said that the documents show up in your Outlook?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So I'll talk about that in a second. Just give me a second, yeah? So, let's go back here to presentation. So again, the first step is you got to get people on the same page. And if you can, elevate yourself from using email. And using SharePoint is not a big stretch for your users. Because a lot of them are familiar with web-based tools already. Right? Don't even say it's Project Online or Project Server. Yeah, it's like the Fight Club, right? What's the first rule of the Fight Club? I'll talk about it. Just say, hey, we have something to help you better manage your project. Don't use the S word, don't even use the P. Right? You call it whatever you want to call it. Now, the next step is do not abandon existing tools people use. While SharePoint is great, the biggest problem of this 12-year-old product is still adoption. 80% of global SharePoint deployments is nothing but a big file dump. It's a very expensive file share. I mean, yeah, you put files there, but SharePoint's more than just file share. And the problem is, a typical IT approach, what do we do? Go to SharePoint, go to SharePoint. Hey, don't send that attachment. Upload it to the document library, grab the link, pop it back to your email, send the email. It's just too much work. Right? Just don't. Users don't care. You know what the killer app is in an organization today for typical users? Two things. Email and Excel. You take email and Excel away, they can't work. You take SharePoint away, they don't care. Right? So what we're saying here is, what if you can transform SharePoint into a business-critical tool, whether they know it or not? So how do you do that? Right? So how do you do that? So let me show you an example. Let me jump into my Windows environment here. So first and foremost, let me grab this URL so I can demo it in my, I can't remember what I typed in. It says I need a new version, but anyway. Okay. So this is the same project site. Okay. So let me fire up Outlook. So I'll show you a couple of things, right? With Project Online, so let me put a little disclaimer here. As long as you're using all the same suite of technology, so let's say you already have Office 365 and you're using that for your email and calendaring, if you pop in Project Online, automatically, for example, if people are assigned on the task, look at that. I didn't even have to do anything. It shows up in Outlook. Right? So to a user, think about this. Maybe they don't even have to go to the website to update their task because Outlook reminds them and they just check, I'm done, I'm not done. Right? But wait, there's more. Do your users pull up their calendar on their phones? I do. Well, so Dux, are you saying that my user can update their task on their phone, which updates Outlook, which updates the project site? Yeah. Gone are the days where, I got updated in Outlook, I got updated in Excel, I got updated in the most powerful database out there called Access. Huge. Documents. You were asking about, well, Docs, you talk about all these documents show up, yeah? There's a feature that's available. It's called Site Mailbox, and I'll talk more about this in a second. But the idea with a Site Mailbox, it's not on by default. because maybe some users won't want it, but I'll show you how to turn it on in a second. The idea with Site Mailbox, you can make all these, there's two things with Site Mailbox. You can make all the documents for a project site that you're a part of show up in Outlook. It's like the old, what do you call those? Exchange shared folders or public folders kind of thing. Similar idea, but it's not stored in Exchange. It's just using Outlook as a front end. Then the other key benefit of a site mailbox is it creates literally a mailing list for the project. So if you're part of the project team, it creates this email address that you can email to. The whole team will get it on their email, but even better, the project site captures all that communication. And it's searchable. And people part of that project has access to that mailbox. Y'all get the idea? You talk about one-stop shop. Because today, what people do is, even if they claim they use SharePoint for their projects, yeah, they dump all the files there, where does communication happen? Still in email. It's still disjointed. When you get audited because you have to subscribe to some compliance, Sarbanes-Oxley or HIPAA or Run DMC, then where do I look for it? Whereas if everything is centralized and run a search, be it document, tasks, conversations, via email or newsfeed, it's there. Okay? Yes, sir?
The documents show up with Outlook and Mac, or is that we have to wait?
Very good question. Not Outlook for Mac. It's for now, it's Office, but word on the street, it's the next Office for Mac that's coming out soon, and it's full fidelity. So for now, it's still Windows.
I thought you switched
Yeah. So that's the integration with Outlook. Now let me talk about Excel, right? There was a customer I was working with, and so we helped them with this, and again, my past life. And one of the things we found out, so we helped them how to take advantage of their Office 365 platform and use SharePoint for project management. So at any given point in time, they have 100 projects that they work on. So typical to any organization, they use email, Excel, PowerPoint, what have you. So we help them figure out how to use SharePoint as a one-stop shop, which is great. But part of the process is at the end of the month, every project manager sends expenses to, let's call her Miss Sally in accounting. So she's going to process all project expenses every month. You know Miss Sally? So I talked to her, I go, hey Miss Sally, how much time do you spend doing this? Because I know you have to get all these 100 Excel sheets and you have to put together a monthly report on how much we're spending per project. I've been doing this 10 years and I spend about, 7 hours a month doing this process. I go, what if I can help you cut that down in half, like 4 hours? Would you be interested? She goes, yeah. Because, Miss Sally, we're rolling out this thing called Office 365. Every project would have a project site, so you could just come here and get the data. She goes, Docs, I'm retiring in 2 years. You're telling me to use something new? I only use Excel. I'm in accounting. It's okay. I don't want to learn anything new. Now you know, Miss Sally. I go, okay, Miss Sally, forget what I said. I'm going to show you a feature in Excel. She goes, what? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell project managers, instead of emailing Excel files every month, I'm going to tell them, just put their expenses on the project site where it should be, enter it, and as soon as they enter it, it's going to automatically show up on an Excel file sitting on your desktop. You don't have to deal with emailing. Really? I go, yeah. Let me show this. So I said, all right, here's what we're going to do, Miss Sally. So I'm going to fire up Excel, and I'm just going to put some, information, item, cost. Let's say for this project, we bought a projector, and that's how much it costs, and I'm going to call this sheet the SP TechCon project, whatever, right? And then after I enter all this stuff, I will take all this information and insert what's called a Excel table. It's all out of the box. By the way, friends, I'm not doing anything special here. It's all part of Excel. And as soon as I do that, check out what it says. Do you want to sync it with SharePoint? And what I'm going to do next is take this information and enter all it's asking, what's your SharePoint site? I just didn't want to type it in, so I copied and pasted. I'm going to call this expenses. Y'all follow me so far? So when I hit publish, what's going to happen? Excel will contact that site, log me in, make sure I can do what I'm trying to do here. So you got to give Miss Sally some permissions. But once it's done, Voila! This information on Miss Sally's desktop is now published and connected to that project site. So if I do this, by the way, I'll give you all the step-by-step instructions how to do this. And this is recorded too. So look at that. The SP TechCom presentation expenses is there. Y'all see this? But wait, there's more. So now the project manager, every time they spend on something, they come to the project site and say, okay, we bought a car for the project because we needed it for the presentation. It's $80,000. I'm going to expense that. Now, as you look at this, and some of you may already know, in SharePoint I could put alerting mechanisms. So I can put a rule to say anytime a new expense is entered, alert Miss Sally in accounting. That's called micromanagement, yeah? And as soon as that happens, she gets the alert via email and she knows, oh, Ducks or somebody just put in expenses. She's just going to open this Excel spreadsheet and sync it. And as soon as she syncs it, voila, that same piece of information is now in her Excel spreadsheet. This is huge because think about it. Let's go back to the idea of project management. We all have different roles. Her role is to process expenses. She loves Excel. Let her use Excel. Right? We don't have to fight with, oh, you got to go to the project server or SharePoint or do. No, use Excel. Right? And then she's looking at this, looking at the receipts and invoices. You guys didn't buy a car. You bought carpet. And it's $800, right? Not only can she see the data, she can update, validate, and update the data, and push it back. Let me use the mouse. All right. Push it back to that project site, and as soon as she does that, let me refresh this guy. 1, 2, 3. $800. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious about version control. That's
Very good.
Check in, check out. Or
Very good question. Very good question. If I turn on version control, it's on. So all the changes will be tracked, right? Since this is a list, check in, check out doesn't exist. Check out, check in only works in document library. Yeah. Quick question though. You guys like this feature? Now, who doesn't know about this? Raise your hand. It's okay. Again, no judgment. This is not new though. You know when this was introduced? Excel 2003 and SharePoint 2003. Shame on you. It's been there, just sitting there. Every time I talk to the business and show them this, it's like, you just changed my world. This is huge. At the user level. Karen.
Is this an app that you add in, or is this
No,
built into?
It's built into Excel and SharePoint. It's there.
Okay.
You don't have. I'll send you instructions, step by step.
Okay. All right.
It's there. You can do this today when you go back. But my point is, friends, when we talk about getting people on the same page, we as IT, we get so caught up on the bells and whistles. Oh, you got to use Project Online. No. Start with Excel. And here's the cool part. So after I showed this to her, she connected to the 99 other project. In Excel, you can have a summary sheet. You can pull all the data for her big report. 3 months later, I talked to her. I said, so how's that going? Oh, Docs, it's great. Last month, I measured how much time I spent. I only spent 5 hours. And I did not even have to do overtime. Because every month, I would have to do overtime. People send it to me the last minute. Think about the value for this one use case. To her, it's huge. She gets to use Excel. She gets to save time to the company, not pay her overtime. And that's just one use case. So I encourage you, we're talking about Project Online, but don't forget what people are comfortable with. And that's something they cannot get from a Google Drive, Basecamp, because, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but at the end of the day, we still use Office. Everybody uses Office. The fact that they can make Excel talk to this, and all the data, or you can make Outlook or a phone talk to this, and all the data rolls up at the highest level. Would you imagine a day would come that you update something in Excel and a web page gets updated? Excel is a web development tool. Or Outlook.
can you do the same thing with Project Schedule?
We'll do that in a second. So tell you what, from this point onward, just ask me how we do it. Grasshopper. Yes, I'll do that in a second, yeah? Okay. Mobile. So later I'll show some scenarios around mobile, but Project Online supports mobile technology. So what I pulled up, there's two things you can do here. You could use the browser, so from a mobile device, fire up the browser, go to the project site, you can interact with it, that's great, or you can use apps, right? So if you have either Windows, it doesn't matter now, because iPad, you have like Office for the iPad, whatever. You can connect to these sites. Or you can have third-party apps so you can update tasks as well. It's all there. The second step to fast-track project management success, so now that people are on the same page, they're collaborating, they're working together, now let's step to the next level. Well, Dux, we need to manage this better. We need a schedule that's more rich, because we got to do like dependencies, for example. For those not familiar with dependencies, it's like, well, I got to do A first before B can happen. And if B happens, three things can happen. Y'all follow me? Out of the box, we cannot do that on the project site I have. The project site I have with a task list, literally, you can just put tasks there. It's like a task list. That's it. But there's no concept of dependency. The good news is with Project Online, it comes with Project Pro for Office 365. Now, keep in mind, as I described earlier, this is not a tool for everyone. This is not for the faint of heart. What disappoints me is every time I go to organizations, hey, Dux, yeah, we use Microsoft Project. I go, really? Yeah, we build our Gantt chart, our schedule, make it colorful, we print it out, everybody has a copy, and that's the end of the tool. It's just glorified Excel. If that's all you use, don't even buy this thing. It's very expensive. Project Pro, a desktop tool, is so powerful, not only developing schedule, but managing schedule. But more importantly, you can do resource management, project reporting. It assumes you're familiar with core project management concept. It's not Excel. Okay, so let me go back to your question. Let me jump back to my environment here. So Project Pro is available for Windows. It's not available for the Mac, unfortunately. So let me go to the same projects I've been showing everyone. Okay, so let's say here's the deal, right? So this project is snowballing, and it's bigger than what I thought. It's like a major presentation to a lot of people. I need dependencies, and I need more people to help me. So the task list just can't support what I need. So what I could do is I go to the task list. Notice it says open with project. Yeah. So as soon as I open with project, Microsoft Project Pro, which has already been installed, so when you sign up for Project Online, you'll say install Project Pro. It'll fire up, take the information, and sync it. So your question about syncing Excel and Project, same scenario. The idea now is, I love Microsoft Project. There may be people who like to use Microsoft Project, and that's great. Project management on your terms. You like to use Excel, use Excel. You like Project, use Project. It takes all the information, and then once it's there, okay, the first time it takes a while, but once it's done, syncing should be fast. So now I could do a couple of things, right? So now I could put in more details around the project. So let's do this, friends. So first and foremost, I'm just going to do this quickly here. Let me define, let me put more information here. So let's say the project start date is actually on the 5th, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And review session details, this will take, 1 week. Contacting Greg, I'm going to give it a week for my estimate. And the other benefit of Microsoft Project, it's a scheduling engine. So I gave a couple things, right? I said it should start on the 5th. These tasks should happen between those two estimates. And in fact, these two tasks are dependent with each other. So I'm going to put a linkage there, a dependency. And then I can say, go ahead and auto-schedule it. Voila. So what did it do? It figured out if I'm going to start on the 5th, and I'm going to do this for a week, it's going to take, that whole week. And then the next week, I'm going to do that. Y'all follow me? And then, let's say for this timeline view, notice that the timeline view came through as well. I'm going to update it to make it more visual. So, I'm going to double-click this guy, and I'll say, don't mark as milestone. So I'll make it more colorful. You'll see this in a second here. Let me double-click this guy as well. Undo this. Okay, and then I'm going to go up here and say change color, what have you, etc. So I'm just doing this really quick in the interest of time. So again, schedule development, whatever. The next thing I could do here is do better resource management. So I'm going to go to a resource sheet, and notice so far Dux has been assigned, and it's red because Dux is over allocated, meaning we're giving him more work than he could do. What's wrong, Dux? Welcome to my world. So the other thing is, and this is realistic, the problem is a lot of us use Excel for scheduling, and I've seen this a lot, but the problem is there's no intelligence built in. So for example, what if Dux is taking PTO? What if Dux needs to go and see a doctor? I need to put that in because if Dux is the only person who could do this, it's going to impact the schedule, and I need to have visibility on when things are going to happen. Y'all follow me? So I can come here and say, change working time, and put in all the different pieces of information on when Dux is taking off, all that good stuff. And then once I'm done, I can just hit save, and when I hit save, it's just going to sync back and save it. Now I kind of pre-did another example, so here it is, right? So now this task list, similar to one we saw, I open a project, put all the different criteria, put Dux's availability, it refigure out the schedule, and voila, it syncs back. And guess what? Since Dux is assigned, remember earlier about showing up on Outlook tasks? Any new task changes would reflect in Dux's copy of Outlook. Huge. And not only does it show up in Outlook, again, let me go back to my personal news feed. The beauty with Project Online, especially if you have Office 365, what Microsoft has done is they've integrated all tasks. So meaning it doesn't matter if it's an Outlook task or a project task or a SharePoint task, it doesn't matter. All that would roll up. So I have a single page for myself. It shows up all the tasks I have to work on. In this case where it says personal, that's like in Outlook. But all the projects I'm involved in, and what's my upcoming task, what's my completed task, I can run a search. Huge. Look at this. And this is across multiple projects. Everybody with me?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's a reverse roll-up, right? Because now, we think about roll-up, show me all the projects. But me as a resource, and we work on tons of stuff, show me everything I'm working on. Sorry, I'm not as excited as I should be. But I think this is...
That's huge.
What's that? No, if you have on-prem, you can do it. But everything has to be 2013. Like I said earlier, everything I'm showing you now, you can do this in-house, but SharePoint has to be 2013, Project Server has to be 2013, Exchange has to be 2013. Okay? And that's why I love the cloud. You swipe your credit card, boom, it's there. I don't have to deal with setting up servers, setting up VMs, backing up databases, it's there. Now, Dux, can I combine this? Like, we already have SharePoint, we already have Exchange. Can I have Project Online in the cloud and kind of combine it? Yes, but the problem is, if you have hybrid scenarios, all these roll-ups won't work. These roll-ups have to be in a single, homogeneous environment. Be it everything up in the cloud or everything on-prem. Okay? All these roll-ups. But you can still use Project Online, the stuff showing up in Outlook, all that, everything has to be in a homogeneous environment.
If I just need to update tasks, do I have to have the full subscription?
No, you can go Project Light, and I'll talk more about that in a second. Yeah. So going back, so again, when you think about Project Pro for Office 365 from a project manager perspective, you can do better scheduling, you can still use Project. But going back to your point now, Dux, what if I'm just updating tasks, right? Let's say I'm a resource and I don't really build schedule. Can I just get Project Light? Exactly. So if your resource gets Project Light, what do they have access to? They have access to the project site. They can't download Project Pro. That's not part of it. But they can come here and all the tasking and all that will show up. If you have it in a single platform like this, it will show up in Outlook, it will show up in My Task. They can upload documents, they can edit documents, same thing. All right? Next. How's everything so far? Useful?
I just need some clarification. Project Pro is Microsoft Project.
That's right.
Okay,
That's like the new name they call it.
okay,
So you know the desktop software, Microsoft Project?
right.
It's Project Pro, Project Professional.
Okay.
So if you buy it on the store, if you go to Best Buy and buy it, it'll be called Microsoft Project Professional 2013.
Okay.
With Project Online, it's called Project Pro for Office 365. The idea is there's no version anymore because at any time if there's a new one, it just updates. So that's the idea. So all these Office 365, there's no versions. See, it's called Project Online and not Project Server 2013. And moving forward, the next 6 months, they're going to focus on Office 365 and all the latest and greatest features will be introduced there first. This whole idea of installing it locally while you can still do it with on-prem, in the next year or so, you see the parity, the feature parity, it'll be behind. The on-prem one will be behind. And for me, if infrastructure is not your core business, unless you're running a data center or unless you work in a 3-letter secret agency, I don't see why you have to keep all these infrastructure to yourself. Now, as IT, we still have a role to play in this because we need to manage a cloud environment, but it offloads a lot of the mundane, keeping the lights on. You let Microsoft take care of it. Okay? Now, from an organizational perspective, to manage all our projects and resources, this is where Project Online does really well. So when you think about project and portfolio management, enterprise resource management, reporting, I'll show you a couple of examples. Project Online is so powerful that you can do a whole all-up organizational view of things. So for example, right now what I've shown you so far, to clarify, all I've shown you is this project site. And again, this is powered by SharePoint. I've also shown you integration with Office, Outlook, Excel, Word, what have you. I've also shown you Microsoft Project Pro on the desktop. So now let me show you the bigger picture, which in this world, it's called PWA. Okay, so let me explain what this means. So remember the first thing I did this morning, I went to my project center, okay? This interface is called PWA, or Project Web App. Now again, I'm just a messenger. I don't know why they have these terminologies. But if you think of Project Online, it's really made up of 3 things. It's made up of SharePoint Online for all the project sites. It's made up of Project Pro for Office 365, the desktop client. And then it's made up of PWA, Project Web Access. Project Web Access, it's like the aggregate. It brings everything in from an organizational perspective. Not only project schedule, but also resourcing and reporting, all that good stuff. So, what do we get with PWA? With PWA, I'll go through some of the key features here. First, I can go to my project center and look at all the projects that I have in my organization. So, notice that every single project I see here, project name, y'all see this? That's all the projects that's being run. The good news about this is, as you may imagine, not everybody needs to come. Maybe your executives, your PMO, but if I'm just a developer working on 3 projects, I don't really need to come here because it's just too much. I mean, you could, and from a permissioning perspective, it'll only show what you're involved with. You're not going to see everything. And then you can build views, right? So let's say the boss wants, their KPIs or key performance indicators. You know those red, yellow, green stoplight? They worship that, right? I could do that. I could say, show me all the, I create a view, I believe, called projects. There you go. So you can define all your metrics. So in this scenario, what I did is, because my company, we go through a stage gate process. I don't know if you're strict with that. So it shows me what projects are in planning right now, what projects are in the managed phase, what projects are in the closing phase. I organize it that way. And I put a KPI column called Project Health. Now, what do these mean? It depends on your organization. Green may be as long as it's on budget, on schedule, we're green, right? If it's, 10% or let's say 30% behind, then that's a yellow. So you can put all these definitions in there. Total cost, what's been spent, all that good stuff. So that's big picture. Now I'm looking at this, and let's say I want to, drill down to a specific project. Let me go back because this only shows a couple. Let me go back to the main summary page, summary view, I should say. And let's say I want to look at, let's check this out. Let's see, this ERP project, whatever. So I'm going to that ERP project. It's going to jump into that project, provide more detail. I can look at the schedule. So this is where it's at. What's the strategic impact? All that good stuff. It's loading. Okay, and I can look at the schedule as well. So this is strategic impact. You can even go to this level, and later I'll explain further what that means. I can look at the schedule. It's going to pull up, detailed schedule, kind of like Microsoft Project on the browser. Okay? And it also shows me the project site. So this is where your users would be working in. Because if it's too complex, especially for Project Lite, if you just want to keep them here, which is fine, has all the tasks, all the documents, and all that good stuff. So they can just live here. But from a higher level perspective, you have visibility into all these things. Now, the other point is, let's say you want to create let me go back to the project center here. Let's say new projects needs to be created, right? So a process could be, okay, docs, I want to use these templates. Remember I talked about templates earlier? So you can predefine templates now, other than creating like a blank project site. You can define it's enterprise project, software development, marketing campaign, blah, blah, blah. And this respects permissions too, because on one hand, maybe your formal projects, you don't want just anybody to start mucking around with it. So if I create like a software development project, it's going to provision not only the site, it's going to provision like a predefined schedule. Because typically software releases, you may be following Agile or something. All the documents are there, right? Any kind of workflow, like if you have a change request form, you all familiar with that? So you can prepackage all of it. So the value proposition for a project manager is I can just get started and work. Hopefully you're starting to see for $33 or $45 a month, it's not that much. Yes, ma'am?
Regarding permissions and Active Directory, and if you're using the online version, how does that integrate with Active Directory?
Absolutely. I'll show that in a second. So you can do a hybrid scenario, and this is called ADFS, Active Directory Federation Services. So I know one of the concerns with us, I don't want to assign you credentials and accounts and whatnot. So you can integrate with in-house. So to the user, they might not even know that you're not hosting it. So to the user, in your intranet, you might have a link, Project Center, whatever you want to call it. They click on it. The technology is just actually sitting on Project Online, but it's going to authenticate against your internal ADFS or AD. Sir, question?
I don't remember what it was.
Okay, it'll come back. It'll come back, Karen.
Do some of those, how many views do we get out of the box on those?
There's like 10 views, but you can create as many views as you want. Yeah, and the views for everything.
Yeah.
I
Sir.
remember the question.
Okay.
Regards to like users that I need to pay per month, is it
Yep.
anyone that interacts with the site?
Yes. Anybody touching this?
So even my Excel user that synchronizes to the site.
Yes.
needs
Yes. That's where the Project Lite, because
They could have a project like that.
Yeah. So anything that around the project site and all the integration with Excel, Outlook, whatever, $7 a month. So anybody touching this environment, either full blown $45 a month or 33 whatever, or $7 a month.
So that's an adder to my existing Office 365. Like I'd have to add $7 a month for each one of those users.
Correct. Yep. Now, the only way you can get that though, Project Lite, is you have some existing Project Online account, like a $33 account. So in theory, you can have one like $33 account, and everybody else has $7. But keep in mind, there's certain features they can't do. They can't create new projects. They can't a lot of the complex things. Yes, ma'am.
Is it the licensing named users, or is it concurrent?
Named account, named user. So it's not concurrent, right? So you can like buy 3 and have 10 people use it on different times. No, it's named user. Okay.
Or per device?
What's that?
Or by device? I have 2 devices.
It does not. It's per user. So if you have 2 or 3 devices, you log in with the same credential, doesn't matter. If you have 10 devices, doesn't matter. per user. So it's tied to a person. Yes, ma'am.
If you're using Exchange, which is also integrated with the Active Directory.
Yep.
And you have new users come and go and deactivate it, it's automatically sync with the project, and once your resources loaded.
Sure, if you're, yes. Now, the answer is yes, but if you want those users to start using it, you're paying for those users. So I understand what you're saying, right? So let's say you have a new employee.
You have an enterprise package where your organization,
Well, that's,
yeah, over 3,000 people.
yeah, well, Microsoft can cut you a deal for them. So there's enterprise licensing, by the way, for Project Online. So talk to your account rep. What I'm sharing with you is just street prices. So, and I can help you with that offline. But there is. So the answer is yes. So you can buy like a buffet deal kind of thing. Like for this year, between 3,000 and 5,000 users, we'll just pay this. You could do
Kind of like
volume licensing. Yeah. I'm just not familiar with the rate. It depends what kind of deal you have with Microsoft. Yes.
I have one more question. Let's say I have subscription for 6 months with the project plan, and then it's over. Will I have access to my historical data, just so it's in the download, or is it
Very good. So the question is, let's say after 6 months, I don't want to use it anymore and I don't continue paying, it's be available for a month after.
So will I have an ability to download something?
Yeah. You can download the stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Okay? What do you guys think so far? Useful? Okay? Let me show you. Yeah, absolutely. That's good. Yeah. Next, resourcing. I know resourcing is a big pain in everybody's world. So this is what's called the Enterprise Resource Center. The idea of Project Online and Project Server, for that matter, is anybody working on a project. So I can put all these people in. Remember earlier I assigned myself ducks for a week doing certain things? It will remember that. And the way it remembers that is through the Resource Center. So it will keep all that information, not only keep what's been allocated to me, but as I start working on a project and I start updating my tasks, it's going to keep track of all that as well. So real time, I picked like 3 people. I can pull up information. It will show me a real-time report on what these 3 people are assigned to, what they're working on between a time frame. So it's a nice little chart. So between this date range, Alex is working on these projects. He's assigned this much time to work on it, and you can even show the actual work to show what he's done or she's done already, and you can drill in, and this is all real time. So you know, again, executives or resource managers or line managers can look at what their people are working on. And then you can also look at this and say, there's a new request from the business, hey, we need you to build 3 more things. Well, no, we're over capacity, we just can't do it. Either you give me more money to hire people or get contractors, whatever. Around reporting as well, so we talked about overall project visibility. What about reporting? So I understand and I recognize that some executives, they want fancier reports, you know, not overly complex because they're used to Excel. That's cool. So it takes advantage of the built-in SharePoint reporting capabilities from Excel services to Performance Point, what have you. So what I have here is I built a report in Excel that pulls all the project information. And it's very simple, you know, you could give this to your executives. But even better, I'm using a new technology called PowerView. If you're not familiar with PowerView, what this thing does, it animates your report. You know, like if you watch like zombie movies, you watch zombie movies? Mr. President, zombies are here. In 24 hours, it's going to grow there. In a year, we'll all be zombies. You see that? They have those forecasting type of cool visuals. So that's what you can do with PowerView. So I have like a project overview dashboard looking at all these projects. I can click on it. It's going to move. But I can also, so let's say I'm an executive. I want to drill down. I want to see the internal software database audit. Click on it. It's just going to render that specific project and all the key things I want to see. What's the schedule? What are the risks? What are the issues? And this is just, I just built it in Excel. I tapped into the data in Project Online, and it's straightforward. I can give you instructions how to do this. Yeah. So this is part of it. Another type of reporting, for example, let's say, now this goes into more higher level strategy, right? So let's say the start of the fiscal year, the CIO, because of how the economy is, we set strategic drivers and priorities. We can say, we're only going to work on projects that's going to help us save money and make money over $1 million, whatever, right? So as a project gets put in, they can put in, the project manager can put in, this project will help cut costs, this is the ROI, whatever. So as they put in all those metadata, based on the criteria, executives can look at, okay, let's look at all the projects based on what our strategic drivers are, what's the priority. This is called demand management. Now you can think about what we're going to work on and not work on. Y'all with me? And you can put in a whole workflow approval process around this too. And this is huge because a lot of companies, they can't get their heads around, they just keep doing what the business requests. But now you can go back to them, this is not in alignment with our strategic driver. Y'all follow me? Okay. Huge. So, again, with Project Online from an organizational perspective, not only can you provide project or portfolio level visibility, resource level visibility, but also put strategic drivers reporting across the board. The third step is Project Online allows you to win consistently. I hope not that guy, right? Winning is different for different people and different organizations. Hopefully you've already seen that with Project Online, it could serve the executives, it could serve the project managers, it could serve Miss Sally in accounting, or it could serve Greg, who's always mobile, right? So depending on your needs, the compelling proposition Project Online is to bring all this in. Yeah? And even better, there's still 100% perfect solution, so there may be things that you're like, well, Dux, we do a lot of meetings, for example. Is there a way or a tool that I can add on to manage meetings? Yeah, because one of the things in Project Online, since it's a SharePoint-based technology, it has apps built in. So I'm going to show you two examples here. So let's say, is this, okay. Let me go back, and because I want to show you real quick. So let's say, let me go to my example here. So let's say, there's a feature I want or capability I want. Notice I even embedded Yammer here because we use Yammer instead of the newsfeed. You can embed Yammer for your project. I want to add an app, right? I want to see what's in the App Store. So I can go to the App Store. It has recommended apps. So let me go to the SharePoint App Store and I'll pick a language. Okay, English. Okay, so this is the App Store, and there's tons of apps here. Some of them are free, some you pay for. You're familiar with the app model. And if I look at project management, there's a lot of project management apps. One of which is a meeting app which we developed, and it's free. If you have Office 365 or Project Online, you can use our meeting apps right now today. It's free. You just add on. So I added this app to it. Just want to show you quickly how it looks like and how it behaves, but it works really well for project sites because I've added this meeting app. The idea with this meeting app is to allow our team to better manage meetings. So if I go to the meeting app that I added for this project, it brings up the meeting app and not only keeps track of the meeting, it keeps track of the agenda, decision, roles and responsibility for the meeting, and I can tie it back to my project. So we had a meeting on project planning, and by the way, this is touch friendly. You can use it on a mobile device. So review conference, I can add an action, add a note, whatever, and it's there. Right? The other drawback. The other thing I hear a lot from customers is, Dux, this is great. I live and work in DC, and I work with the DoD a lot. Like, that's great, but Sonny ain't secure. A couple of generals call me Sonny. Ain't secure. I mean, what do you mean? I know Microsoft's all safe and all that, but we can't audit and track. We love snooping and tracking people. In case you don't know. I go, no worries, because there's technologies out there that we can do that, right? So I'm going to show you another example. So for example, we have a solution called Perimeter. It works on premise, but it also works on Office 365. Here's the idea. It's the concept of having trusted devices, trusted users, trusted location. I'll show you a quick demo. So Greg, for example, he's working in San Francisco. He has his iPad. We've registered his iPad so he can access our Project Online site. Y'all with me? The rule is we set up a policy. If Greg is accessing within our corporate office, he can do whatever he wants. He just logs in username and password. But if he's outside, only these 3 devices can be used within this longitude, latitude, and 5-mile radius from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock this week. Really? I'll show you. So, Greg, go ahead and log in. So, Greg's logging in as a user called Jack, and as he's doing that, I'm going to go in and bring up an administration console so we can see where Greg is logging in and who logged in and all that good stuff, right? So let me sign into my other account here because I want to bring in the Perimeter console and show it to everyone. So as Greg is logging in, he's a project manager, but he's remote this week. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this console where I'm logging as an admin. It'll show me which devices are accessing the site right now, who's accessing it from where, right? Okay, very good. So I'm logged in. So I'm sitting at corporate. Let me double check if all my connections are good. Because of security, all our admin console are back in the farm. So let me make sure I'm logged in here. Okay, so this is the Perimeter console, right? So I can enroll devices, I can put policies if there's any access violation, but here's what I want to show you quickly. I want to show you the log of people accessing Project Online. And keep in mind, Project Online is in the cloud, right? And by the way, you can use this for SharePoint as well. It's not limited to Project Online. Oh, okay, so at 11:27 a.m. Eastern, a person named Jack using iOS 7, Safari 7, logged in. Where in this location? Let me click on where that is. San Francisco. So it looks like at that time, Greg, Hilton, San Francisco. Now, I'm not trying to scare the crap out of you, but no more excuses from the security office. Well, it's not secure, we don't own the environment. No. One of the agencies we're working with, I'm not going to name who, they have people around the world. They need to access data. But the fear is, here's the other problem. What if his iPad gets stolen? Part of this is I'm not going to wipe out the iPad, but I can wipe out content that I can define in Project Online, Excel file, so it won't show up. Or a phone. And it's not even an iPad, it could be a laptop, it could be anything. Because when we think about mobile, we're not thinking about mobile devices anymore. We're thinking about we as a person that's mobile. Like you said, we can work on 3 or 4 or 10 devices. It doesn't matter. I can put all the policies in. So, is that useful? 3 steps to project management success. Collaborate efficiently, manage effectively, and you can win consistently with Project Online. Thank you for coming to this session. I'll be around if you have questions. I'll be at our booth, and there's my contact info. And as I promised, I'll send you all these things. Just come to the booth, get yourself scanned. I'll send you a free copy of the book, the video recording, the PowerPoint, and hopefully this was worthwhile for your time this morning. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.